Well, this video is going to look at transferring money between accounts within your budgets. Transferring money in Banner is just like online banking. If you go on to your local online bank to move money from your checking account to your savings account or the other direction, you're going to see a very similar process here. So in order to begin a budget transfer, or what we call a journal entry, you need to navigate to Banner Self-Service. There are a couple of ways to get there. First is going to our homepage and clicking on the Faculty and Staff button, scrolling down to Banner Self-Service, and then you can enter your login information. The other way to get to Banner Self-Service is to create a one-click bookmark at the top of your page, which I cover in another video, and that will actually take you to the same page. Now, for today's exercise, we're going to become another user because my particular access in Banner does not allow me to create transfers because of what I do for the college. So we're going to become another user and log into Banner Self-Service. In order to access the budget transfer page, you need to navigate to the My Finance Queries, Recs, and Journals link. And you're looking for the page that looks like this. It's the Banner 9 Self-Service homepage. Now, budget transfers are actually located under this tab here called My Journals. My Journals is a really bad name for transfer money, but what it stands for is journal entries. And in accounting terminology, that's actually what we're doing here. We're moving money on paper from one account to another. If you have journal entries in process and draft or pending, you'll see them in here. And if you have a journal entry that's been approved by your dean and the business office, it'll actually show down here as completed journals and the money will have been moved. But for today's exercise, we're going to start from the beginning. And in order to create a journal entry, we actually need to know some important pieces of information called the FOAP. We need to know the fund, organization, account, and program for which we're transferring money. And in order to get that information, you often will need to navigate over to your budget. So before we begin the transfer process, we're actually going to do a quick budget query to make sure that we know which account we're moving money from and which account we're moving money to. In order to query your budget, you go to the My Finance tab and go to My Finance Query. And we're going to do a new query, and today the budget we're working with is the Unrestricted Mobile Campus Computing Support budget. So we're going to put that fund and that organization into the budget query tool and scroll down and hit submit. And then we can see how much money is in each one of these accounts so that we can make a determination about where we're going to move money from and to. In today's exercise, we're just going to move $1, and we want to move that money from materials and supplies into non-cap equipment. So we're going to write down the from account, which is 720,500. That's going to be a minus out of 720,500. And we're going to move the money to 720,300, the non-cap account. That's going to be plus 720,300. We're going to need that information a little bit later on. While we're here, we might as well go ahead and jot down these other digits because this information is going to be important to know. Our fund is the Mobile Unrestricted Fund. Our organization is Computing Support. And the program is going to be Instructional Shared Services, Academic Support Shared Services, 4001. The FOAP information is very important as you're managing money for the college, and those accounts and those numbers are available by talking to your supervisor. You can check with your immediate supervisor, who oftentimes will be a director over a program or an organization, or you can also chat with your dean. Your deans and your directors have the FOAP information and will be providing it to you. So we have the accounts and the numbers that we need to complete our transfer request. So we're going to back out of the budget query and we're going to go over to journal pages. So back into my journals, and we're going to create a journal entry. So this is the process to begin a budget transfer request. This is done online, and it's done automatically through the Banner Approvals process. Banner Approvals is covered in another video. Once you begin to create the journal entry, the date will populate automatically at the top, and then you can scroll down to Journal Type. Journal type is the only thing you need to enter on this first page, and it's going to be a department budget transfer. And then you'll scroll down to the bottom and hit Create. Now the next page is the first sequence of the journal entry, and you'll do two sequences. You'll do a subtract and you'll do an add. So we're going to scroll down, and we need to now enter the fund, org, account, and program that is the subtracting or the from account. So let's enter that information. The fund is 110,300. The org is 601,010. The account, does anybody remember the from account? I think it's 720,500. Let me double check. Yeah, 720,500, and the program is going to be 4001, which is academic services shared support. Now we need to put the amount. Today we're just transferring $1, and this is a subtract. It's the first sequence, it's the from sequence. And of course you always need to put a description in to tell your supervisor and your dean and the business office why you're creating the transfer. For today it's just a test. Once you have all that information in, you hit Add Accounting, and it's going to tell you that your sequence number 1 has been saved successfully. And it's going to take you right back to the top of that same page, but it's sequence number 2. So now we're going to put the same information in here. Now we're going to do the to account this time, and I can't remember what that is, but I'm going to go back to my notes that I took from my budget query, and the to account is 720,300. And the program again is support shared services 4001. Okay, we've got to put the same amount in because you can't actually pull from one account and transfer into 2 or 3 different accounts at the same time. We're going to transfer $1. This time it's a positive or a plus. And again, the reason is test. At this point, we're done with the sequence, and so we're going to scroll all the way down and hit Add Accounting, and you can see accounting sequence number 2 has also been saved successfully. If you want, you can actually do a third sequence, for example, if you're doing a very complicated transfer, but for today, this is all we need. So we're going to go ahead and close, and that takes us back to our main screen where we can actually take a look at the journal entry that we're about to submit. This is your transfer request, and it's showing that we have $1 coming out of this account. We have $1 going in to this account. Everything else looks good here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Submit Journal. And then it asks you one last time, are you sure you want to submit this transfer request? And the answer is yes. And so now you can see a journal entry or a transfer has been sent, and it's sitting in pending journals. Now from this point, depending on your position with the college, this journal request will either go directly to the business office or it will go to your supervisor. And the journal requests are approved in the approvals process. So let's go over to My Finance. And Banner takes about a minute, sometimes 90 seconds, to update into the approvals process. So while we're navigating here, I just want to remind you that there's another video about approvals that you can watch to learn how to use this tab.